Like Shivani said, it comes down to educating people, right? Like even if your bite-sized content can help, I'm not saying convert an audience, but even educate them to a degree and open that world for them. Then, I mean, people make these long video podcasts, but then ultimately it's only those little, that 30-second, that sweet spot now, that's the 30-second reel.
Curiosity at that point, you're going to go see the...
Exactly. And then suddenly if tomorrow Wendy or Saviya have a show opening, I'm suddenly curious, right? Yes. And then I have to show up for her show. Yeah. Then I can't be like, I saw this 30-second Abhi now.
Yeah, you never hear that. Oh, I've seen it online. I'm not sure.
No, I have, to be honest. That's why I said that, the experience that lacks, because for most of the students as well, I would say that a lot of them live in hostels outside the city, right? So for them, traveling to Art Night Thursdays when it happens in the late evening, it becomes difficult. And a lot of other artists as well who live in the suburbs. So when the space just puts up all the pictures entirely at once, and it's like, okay, I've seen. If there's something from that picture that piques your curiosity, then it's going to be an effort to then go visit the space and see it. And especially visit the space not in Art Night Thursdays, but on days where they can actually see the work for themselves. Trying to understand.
Let's give people Art Night as well. Just to pull on what Saviya said, we actually get one response quite a bit to something that stops people from going to galleries, and that's the fact that they're closed on Sundays.
That's actually true. Tao, by the way, guys, is open 7 days a week.
So see, listen, I understand from a logistical perspective, it's hard to have it open, right? You have teams, but if you're making a switch to being a public space-facing space, then I think people assume you're open on Sundays. They'll be in Fort and they'll text us, where should I go? And I was like, okay, there's a few that might be open, but most are closed. And so you don't understand that for most people, that's the day out, right? You're going to museums, they're open. And then that I think is one of the...
a great social media strategy I've learned is not to post installation views when the show is going on. You give them tidbits only once the show ends. Like you zoom into artworks and stuff like that, pique their curiosity even further. So this I've learned because of advertising background. Like Dana Dalo, they'll keep coming back to the show. So that's one thing that I've learned.
So I have another question for all of you. So, with the contemporary art scene really blowing up now, there's also a lot of different mediums that are now being explored. How ready do you think the audiences are right now, especially buying audiences? You have some perspective with your art insider collector circle. How are they sort of responding to that? Is it still nascent and they're adapting and getting to that aesthetic, or is it still?
So see, collectors at different levels. Of course, people who have, say, been engaging with the art world by going to art walks, who are aware of the gallery scene in a city like this, coming to the galleries and then saying, okay, now I'm ready to buy. They're probably aware of different mediums. Maybe they just need a little bit of hand-holding. But for the average person who, for them, it's I'm ready to buy, but I don't know where to start. Mediums like printmaking, cyanotypes, we were just talking about this before. It's really a whole new world, and I feel that there's a lot of work to be done there in kind of getting people to understand what all art can be. It starts from the schools, it starts from our art schools, it starts from primary school, it starts at that point. We have such a rich history in India and we don't have enough education. I can talk about this for a very long time, but to answer your question, people are not aware, okay, and this is such a good way for them to start buying art, because a lot of these mediums are, slightly lower price than, say, your traditional oil on canvas or acrylic or whatever. But I think what is very important is for me to uplift the artist and to uplift the process. Okay, so for instance, a printmaker like Sogra, whose show just happened a couple of months back, that is her primary medium, right? So how is she kind of progressing within that medium? And another artist who is a cyanotype artist who's exploring that, how are they progressing within that? So for somebody to kind of understand that this is the medium and this is, what this artist does, and they are kind of, exploring this in different ways and to get involved in that practice, that is a journey that I like to kind of take collectors on. So once they understand that, then it becomes very exciting, for them. Okay, so this is how printmaking can be used. These are the different ways in which this artist has explored printmaking. Then it's a lot of
because a lot of people see it and they're like, but there isn't that much effort in this, or this is very simplistic. Photography, for example, is still sort of, it's picking up, but it's not there. It's not where I love photography personally, and I think it's very underrated in the way people engage with it. So this idea in Indian audiences still exists, and this education of what this medium entails in the process is very, very important.
We have to
But I
push
have
on
a slightly different perspective, and I think it's also because we are not art advisors. So people who come on our experiences, they are not there to buy art, right? If they come, they come. Otherwise, that's a step forward if they choose to take that. But I find that they are really, when you break down a print, they might think a print is a digital print or a copy, right, when they first come in. But when you break down practices they're not familiar with, actually, I think they're blown away. Yeah. I find that is what really gets them interested.
I
the
actually
process, the
remember
story.
this. It was one of my first walks with Nishta and Alisha, and we had gone to Alibag, and they literally broke down an artwork, and I saw this whole bunch that was all over the gallery literally flocked to this one artwork, and they broke everything down. And I was
Because it's things that people don't see, right? You see an image, even a cyanotype, it might be beautiful and blue. But when you talk about how it actually has come about, people are like, what are you talking about? They are gobsmacked. So I think the process is not just artist process, but actual physical process as well.
Definitely, because again, the effort is there. You may not see it on the surface, but the effort is there.
And I actually think when you said photography, a lot of people might come in, it's a photograph, but actually when you talk about what the artist has done, the BTS of an artwork, right? Like what is actually going on behind this? I find that they are super, that is the switch.
And that is why artist studios and stuff on social media, when we put that up, we get really good response and engagement to that.
And likewise, which is why, studio visits are so popular. And, even the feedback we've received, because I think it gives an insight into an artist's practice. Otherwise, there are people who will be like, what is this? And there are people, those smart Alex will be like, I can do this.
Yeah, like with abstract art. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I don't want to name, there are... I mean, when the Guy Tonde painting went for 23.7 crores, people were like, what is this? I can make it. Catching me in the building of Times of India.
The Zarina works. I always get asked this, but why? And like you're saying, the minute you explain, the minute you give them the story, they are like, oh my God, we never saw it like this, That's
like the moment. With Guy Tonde, right? The whole pursuit of form to formlessness, his whole Zen philosophy, and his life leading the lessons of Swami Nisargadatta Maharaj. You explain to them, you break it down for them, and then we're like, that aha moment happened. And for me, as an art writer, as an art editor, that is the joy. That's for me is when
I feel like that's the moment.
you get it, you got it, now you get it.